Oh my God. You want to talk about the thrift store, bitch? God.
Go off, Delta!
You know who's not thankful for the harvest? The thrift store. The thrift store is so ungrateful. You know, I have so many things I could say about the whole thrifting experience. I love it. I was raised going to the thrift store. My mom bought everything there. We would make costumes from the thrift store. She would get those cast iron pans and clean them and recondition them. And maybe she got a vacuum cleaner. So the thrift store was the place. And we always donated stuff to the thrift store. I feel like as years have gone on, we have come to learn so many different things about different thrift stores. So, you know, people say, don't go to Goodwill because Goodwill, they don't treat their employees right. The money doesn't go to the right places. And that probably is true. People probably are not lying. For many years, I thought that Savers was a thrift store that didn't do anything charitable. I thought they just got donations from people. And then I later learned that it is a charitable organization. And I've shopped at Savers before. I've got the Savers member number. I love all of that. I say all of this because I recently decided to donate a lot of stuff. I started purging my storage unit, clearing out drag and props and tons of flowers and all kinds of shit that just needed to go. And I recalled when I was a kid and I would shop at the thrift stores, how there would be so many things that I would want that I just wouldn't find at the thrift store. At the time, as a kid, my mom didn't drive. We didn't have a car. So the only thing accessible to us was the Goodwill. And I keep that in mind because I think of the people that live in my area that may only have access to the Goodwill. Protesting something in many ways is a privilege, you know, so saying I'm not going to shop there because I disagree with their ways or their reasons is important. And it's a hill you should stand on when you have another option. So if you're someone who doesn't have another option, it does become a little bit preachy to say to someone, you shouldn't shop there because I don't shop there. But if that's all you have access to, it's all you have access to. And you have to take care of yourself, your livelihood. You have to have clothes to wear. You have to have something to eat. We get how this works. At least logical people do. So I decided I was going to donate lots of plus size clothing. Lots. Blouses I've worn on the show or things that I've worn in drag. Also things that I personally wear when I'm not in drag that still have a lot of life left in them. And I thought, I know people say you really shouldn't be donating to Goodwill. You shouldn't be shopping at Goodwill. But I know people that only have access to that. And I know how difficult it is to find plus size clothing at any thrift store, certainly at Goodwill. So I decided what I was going to do was I was going to divide up the things that I was donating and take them to different thrift stores, some to Savers, some to a Salvation Army that's near me, some to the Goodwill. And it would be easy for me to get rid of those things, not throw them in the trash. They could be repurposed and hopefully go to the right homes. Now, I do know and learned recently that Goodwill has a website where they take some of the best items and they put them on the website to fundraise, which I don't know where any of that money's going. However, people have access to it. But I hoped that these clothing items would go to the right homes. So I decided to go drop stuff off. I pull up and I have with me probably about 6 contractor bags full of not just clothes, but also like hats, some shoes. There were purses. I had some bags of artificial flowers, some that you've seen here on the show that had plenty of life in them, but I've already featured them and I just didn't have use for them and I wanted to make room. We also had a couple of other things like a couple of walkers. I recently talked about those that could be used by someone else, dishes, things like that. So I get there and I pull up and I've donated here before and they have these like pulley or push bin things. And as I pull up, the guy comes out and he says, "Hi, what do you have today?" I said, "Well, I have a variety of things." I explained what I've explained to you that I had. And he said, "Okay, the clothing are considered soft lines. So they go here. All of these craft things that you're talking about and these dishes, they go over here. Those are considered hard lines. And any furniture items that you have, well, we can take over here." I said, "Okay." So I start to take stuff out and he can see through the bag and he goes, "Well, what's in there?" I said, well, these are clothing items, but there's also like some stuff that would go on a table and there's some hats. And he goes, okay, if you plan to donate here, all of this needs to be organized. You need to have this sorted before you bring it here. And I thought to myself, that may be true. That may be the case. But I don't know if we're in the position to be admonishing people about contributions. Like that's something that could have been said later, like, hey, in the future, would it be possible to keep like perishable items or really heavy items like somewhere else? Or I don't know what it is that could have been said, but I thought it was really weird to say to me, like off the top. And the way he said it was, we'll go ahead and take it this time, but in the future, do it this way. I kind of feel like in the future, I'm going to do it however the I want. You're working off of donations. It's not my job to organize and label things and have things sorted a certain way. That's what you do here. That's why this is a sorting center. If I did that, then what else would you do? Stand on the corner and smoke cloves like you were doing when I pulled up? It just seems so odd to me. So I start to take out other items, and then he goes, what are all these? And they were like those massive, like extra large and XXL Ziploc bags that are blue, and they were full of flowers, artificial flowers. I said, well, these are all artificial flowers, and at the bottom there's vases and a few other things that you could sort them in. And he goes, all that needs to be sorted. Okay. I've shopped in this store before, this particular location. I have seen Dutch ovens with no handles being sold for $36. How else do you pick up a Dutch oven without a handle? You don't. I've seen pots, like stew pots, that still had beans on the inside. You're selling that here, but you need to tell me how it needs to be sorted. You don't even rinse out the pan, and you're selling it. $7.99, $8.99. I have seen candles in there with this much life in them that were labeled $4.99 on the bottom, and you're selling them there for $6.99. Where is all the fa coming from? This is the five and dime. This is the thrift store. I wasn't bringing in shit. I was bringing in clothes that people will really use. I laundered these items. You know, I had them. I was donating out of the kindness of my fucking heart, like everybody else does. I feel like there could be a little more decorum about this, but wait. Then I bring out two other things, those two walkers. And he goes, well, what are these? Okay, Miss Lady, you know what these are. These are walkers, gently used walkers that had plenty of life in them, nothing wrong with them. And he goes, well, what is this one? Electronic? Because it had like, I don't know, like stopper things with like cords coming out. And it was like cobalt blue. It was beautiful. I said, no, it's not electronic. Those are just how the brakes work on it or whatever. And it had like a chair. He says to me, does this have a manual or do they just figure out how to use it? A manual for a walker? You're selling a Scrabble box in there with no pieces. There's no letters in it. I don't understand, like what, like is it, you were just starting with me? Like I'm the one where you're like, we're regulating now what comes through here. Blow up the whole store then. Like start all new until you have all new items. But it's just so weird to me. Like you go in there and there's like Levi's that have shit stains in them. But all of a sudden you're regulating how it goes and who donates and which way it's going to be donated. I had a full, like years ago for DragCon, I had bought this round table, like a high top, and then an adjustable, like, I don't know what you call it, where you pump it up, a hydraulic chair. So I could sit and I could sign things and I could meet and greet people. I literally used it for 2 days. The table was $100. The chair was $75. It's been sitting in my storage forever. And I thought somebody would use this. This would be cute for someone's apartment. I could sell it. I could put it on OfferUp, but you know what? Take it to the thrift store. Somebody will buy it for $15. Maybe they have a cute little apartment. He was like, well, yeah, I don't know if we're taking furniture at this time. You don't know if you're taking furniture. Well, what are you taking? What are we donating? Where are we donating it? Why are we donating it? And I've donated stuff to Savers. I donate stuff to Savers all the time. The cool thing about that is they'll give you a coupon for your donation. So if you donate anything, they'll give you a 20% coupon off of things that you purchase again. Well, let me tell you, some of the people that work there think that those coupons are fucking gold. I will unload like seriously a full trunk full of books and blankets, and like I'm not donating things that need to be thrown away. I'm donating things that absolutely have life in them. And I have to ask them, "Oh, could I get a coupon?" They're like, "Oh, you wanted a coupon?" Here we go again. No, I just wanted to ask to see if I know how to use my words. Yes, I want a coupon. And they like and they go through their little smock and they're like, have you earned? I mean, they're just like, it's like, dude, give me the coupon. I'm going to get 20% off of a $5 book. That's what I'm going to buy. I'm just going to buy even more than I probably donated, even though you charge out the ass for all this stuff. Why at the thrift store with the fa? And I know that they get a lot of people that go in there, obviously, that are resellers, people that go in and they redo something or they clean it up and they make it better and then they resell it, right? A reseller, I guess. I got no problem with that. Like, I feel like we know we're living in a time where people have to have side hustles. They have to make jewelry. They have to sell fruit at the farmer's market. We have to make cameo videos. We have to do left and right, all these different things to make our ends meet. So when people do that and they go to the thrift store and they buy something and they repurpose it, do what you got to do. Make your money. I will say it's a little bit fucked up when you go in and you buy plus size clothing and you're like, I'm going to cut all of this apart to make a dress that looks just like one that's already for sale here. I mean, there are people that can barely find any clothes and you're just like, hey, let me get this huge dress and turn it into some gauntlets. It's a little bit fucked up, but do what you have to do. I feel like these people that work at the thrift store, they have to deal with a lot of shit. I get that. But shitting on the people that are donating stuff and having this attitude, and I don't know if you need a coupon and, pull up over here, but we're not going to help you unload anything. Like, where's the community in that? Like, that just seems so odd. I remember there was a time when you would go to a store and you were like, this is a thrift store and that's a vintage store. And then somehow they became one because, I don't know, maybe because of resellers, maybe because people just decided that they can charge people out the ass for whatever. It blows my mind when you go into a thrift store and you see something absolutely with its original tags on it. And those tags are cheaper than what the thrift store is selling it for. Come on. This stuff is all donated. There has to be a point where you say, not only are we raising money, but we're also making resources available to people in the community that come here because they're not shopping at Nordstrom. They're not shopping at boutiques. They come here because they're trying to see how far their dollar will stretch. They're going to the thrift store. It's not the junk store. It's not the garbage store. It's a secondhand store where you say, I'm coming in here proudly buying something and giving it a new life. I'm reclaiming something. I am using I'm living within my means. And listen, some of those stores, they're not even within the means of the people who have the least amount of means. What is happening at the thrift store? Do you want to see me take a break? I want to see me take a break.